Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 3.
Listen, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. Britt used to be a video vixen in high school. She keeps telling us this.
Yes, she is.
Why is she telling us this? Where were her parents? I don't know.
kind of wild and strange, but you know, listen here, Atlanta is just a different place, man.
Yeah.
You know.
So she dated all the flashy guys before, but Mike was reserved and understated, and that's the type of man that she wanted to be married to.
Was that after all the other guys said no?
I don't know.
Well, I'm about to say, like it sounded like you settled for Michael. Because Michael always been there. And when I say Michael, I'm not talking about Michael the person. I'm just talking about someone who will bring stability and not flashy and things of that nature. They always around. I guess once you got done with that life, or like that life got done with you, you just settled down, and that's fine.
Yeah. So her sister-in-law, and it looks like her sister-in-law's family and their kids come to visit. She talks about how she did date Rick Ross in the past. She tells them about her time with the girls, how Kenya was a little bit shady, and she wants to have a ceremony with Mike. He doesn't want to discuss what's holding up the ceremony at the table, but Britt goes downstairs to talk to her sister-in-law just to have a one-on-one conversation. So we learned that she lost her dad in 2015. Yeah. He had a $2 million life insurance policy that they ended up not being able to cash out on because he was in between jobs at the time. And she talks about her relationship with her two sisters is a little bit shaky. She thought doing business with them would be a success, but her oldest sister thought that she was too tough in the workplace, and she had to fire her younger sister for being too comfortable.
Hey man, it's kind of hard working with family. The only family I say work with is your spouse.
Yeah,
that's the only one, you know.
And even depending on how y'all work together.
Truth be told, you ain't lie.
Yeah.
You ain't lie yet.
Well, Porsha and Kelly meet up for lunch. So she invited Porsha, talking about Kelly, invited Porsha and her daughter to her event at Balmain. It's the Mom Yummy event. Porsha tells Kelly that she has different personalities and she doesn't know what to expect for this lunch.
Hey, that's fair.
Kelly was just curious to hear the story of how Porsha got with Fallon's man, how she got with Simon.
So am I. And
Porsha says that it wasn't relayed that way. It was relayed like it was more of a messy conversation. And Kelly keeps saying that it wasn't taken, the conversation wasn't presented that way. Now, Porsha doesn't see why Shamia would set her up to be ambushed at her birthday party. And Kelly says, it wasn't all that. She just wanted us to talk to clear the air.
Yeah, first of all, don't try to make it seem like it was a messy conversation. This is a messy situation.
It is.
Dude, you get what I'm saying? So there's no way to talk about this cleanly because the person involved, you, Porsha, did something very messy. So by me wanting more details and things of that nature or trying to get you to talk about it, that's not me being messy.
Right.
That's just me pointing to the mess. That's all I'm doing. And Porsha, listen here, I understand that probably throughout the friendship, I know we made a deep dive a couple weeks ago about will their friendship last, and it seemed like as soon as we put that out, 5 days later, we're hearing things about they're not as close, right? I know you're used to Shamia defending you for everything, and I know y'all probably got skeletons in each other's closet, but at the end of the day, like, you have to be accountable for what you did. You can't look at Shamia and be like, you ambushed me at your birthday party. You think Shamia's goal at her birthday party is to talk about you? No. I know that you was late and things of that nature, but I think Shamia's objective at her birthday party was to celebrate her. Absolutely. Not to talk about you,
Yeah, and I also feel like, which we discussed in the deep dive, I feel like we're going to see this season Porsha basically digging her own hole for herself because all Shamia did was give her a heads up that the girls were asking questions and it was a little bit scandalous the way that they were asking because Kelly did throw it out there as shade. But at the same time, Shamia gave you the heads up so that way you wouldn't be ambushed, so that you would know who to address and who to have the conversation with. She even had Kelly come early to let Kelly know, I'm not trying to, get in between whatever y'all got going on. Yeah. I did tell Porsha what you said. So that way you both are aware that the conversation has been had.
Facts.
And so that's why I still believe that Shamia is going to continue to show herself as a true friend. And Porsha is already twisting the truth of what actually happened in order to fit whatever narrative of how she wants Shamia to be seen in whatever light, or if there's some type of jealousy going on. I don't know why she would, instead of believing her friend that she's known all these years, have it in her head that Shamia was trying to set her up for ambush. Even Kelli was saying it's not like that, but for some reason Porsha wants to believe the worst of her best friend, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Moving on, Drew is in the studio recording her music. Kenya, Cynthia, and Angela come to visit her. Angela, of course, we know, met Charles as neighbors, and Kenya asks, isn't Dennis supposed to be here? Doesn't he work with you? Drew says, yeah, they're supposed to be picking her single. She says that she really only texts Dennis. She doesn't talk to him on the phone. Y'all, we see Drew talking to Dennis on the phone. I'm like, why are we lying about these things? And it makes sense for you to talk to him because he's your producer. Like, why are we lying about that?
Yeah.
Kenya feels like Drew was wrong for working with Dennis and not speaking to Porsha about it.
Yeah.
Drew says that she reached out to Porsha multiple times, but the actual reaching out was saying, hey, I need to talk to you. Hey, we need to talk. But she couldn't get in touch with Porsha to actually have the conversation. And Cynthia says that she would have just called Porsha to tell her this information.
Yeah.
Cynthia says that Kenya booked Leon for her Life Twirls On show, and she got Cynthia's blessing first, and it's more so the respect part. Kenya doesn't get why Dennis can't speak up for Drew when you're out here pretty much being talked about like a whore. Angela wanted to know why Shamia was the one to bring up Dennis, and she said that she didn't ask her if she effed the man, like she stormed away, and Shamia got all hot and bothered because Angela questioned her about that.
Yeah.
Cynthia says that Porsha can gather someone if she needs to. She really doesn't need Shamia's help. Porsha apparently reached out to Drew saying that they do need to talk, but Porsha didn't send no time, place, details of when or where they should talk. So
what are your thoughts?
I think given more information, because I was very much of the belief that Porsha, it sounds like Drew did reach out to you. I don't know why you're acting like you don't know what's going on. But now that I see what the actual reach out was, Drew, you could have done better.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
You could have done better. Saying I need to talk to you is not the same as I'm working with Dennis. If the girl isn't going to pick up the phone, just send it in a text message, honestly.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Shamia has always ride or died for Porsha, and I feel like it's been to a fault at times, because you end up in situations to where Angela is trying to check you about why you're asking about Dennis, and it's just kind of like, well, at the same time, Shamia, did you need to be the one to ask the question? Or was Porsha was there? She could have asked it herself if she wanted to know. So
hey, I thought this scene was an excellent scene by Kenya, right?
Yeah.
When Kenya first walked into the studio, she said, I thought Dennis supposed to be here. I thought he's supposed to be basically helping you, because I think in her mind she was like, oh, I'm about to start something with Drew here, and then Dennis get to be here. I get to get two birds with one stone. And then she found out that he wasn't there, and then Drew was trying to be a hostess, saying, "Hey, do y'all want something to drink? Do y'all want something to drink?" Kenya was like, "No, wait, answer my question. What's going on here?"
We got 5 minutes for the scene.
Exactly. So I think Kenya really showed her potential to stir the pot, but it just so happened that Dennis wasn't there that day. But I listened to 2 songs off of Drew's album. I think it's called, like, there's a song called like Chicago Sidestep or like Chicago Step or something like that. That's a good bop and things like that. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I hear a lot of people raving about it, saying that she may even get an award for it. I say it's pretty good. Yeah. So Shamia went to Boston for some doctor's appointments for her babies. Yeah.
Apparently they need some procedures, and her sister, was always there to support her.
Yeah.
Apparently, as we know, Shamia had her own health issues, and she is in the process of talking to a surrogate, and she really doesn't know what the future will hold for Shiloh. It's been a tough journey growing their family, and the sister says, well, Shiloh is thriving, she's smiling, she's a happy baby, and she has a purpose. So in that scene, it just kind of gave me more insight into Shamia. I'm happy that she has a village to support her, especially with having a child with health issues.
Yeah.
And then with them still growing their family, I'm wondering, is now the right time for them to grow their family? And do they need to take some time to make sure that, Shiloh has all their time, energy, and resources? But at the end of the day, if Shamia and her husband are in a place to where they can have a night nurse, somebody at the house, and she's supported, then why should they put a hold on the growing of their family? I feel like if they want a huge family together, then that's something that they should be able to work towards their goal. It is a little bit concerning because Shamia, it sounds like, has went through a lot of trauma in trying to grow the family. So I'm just kind of wondering, is she even in an emotional place to continue growing the family right now?
And that's where I come in at right there. You gave me a great transition right there.
Yeah.
You talked about the night nurse, meaning that, hey, somebody's going to watch the baby and take care of the baby. And I understand that her youngest child is not out of the woods yet when it comes to her health, but she's strong and getting through. So respect to that. So who's gonna take care of the mama?
Right.
Dude, you get like I understand we got the night nurse to take care of the kids, but it seemed like through every battle with trying to have these children, mama's losing a piece of herself in these battles. And truth be told, I understand Shamia's situation can be an extreme case, but I do believe, especially since giving birth to children is a beautiful thing that women do, there is time and like a place for, you know what, let's give mommy time for her to get parts of herself back.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that may take years. It may not necessarily take just 6 months or maybe 9 weeks after the baby is born. So I ask you the question, Blair. Okay, you have this desire. I don't know who put it on who, so I'm not going to blame the man. You have the desire to grow our family, right? Instead of giving me these 2 kids, you want to give me 5 more, right? Because we have the money for it. We have the staff for it and things of that nature, right? But we just had a baby that is still not out of the woods. We are still doing checkups. We even saw a little behind the scenes to where the husband, the father, he is standing there and he's nervous. He haven't sat down the whole time. He's still standing today, right? Who makes the call on, you know what, I know this may be your desire to give me a big family or to give us a big family, but I'm pulling the plug on this. Is it my call as the husband who sees the wife going through the strife of all of this, even though she may not be able to carry the baby, right? She may get someone else to carry the baby, but that doesn't mean that you don't lose your peace of mind and things like that. That still doesn't mean that exempts you from trauma, right? Do I now, as the husband, as the leader of the house, say, you know what, we're done? Or do I give complete autonomy over, like, to you, since it's your body, it's your eggs, you get what I'm saying? It's your decision. What do I do? What is my role as the husband? Tell me what to do.
Oh my goodness.
So at the end, I can blame you, saying you told me to do this.
Exactly. I think that, man, I think that when you're in such like a sensitive, emotional place, it can be hard to think clearly.
Okay.
And I think that it does help to have someone on the outside, whether that be your husband, to say, we're going to chill out right now. And I'm looking at it more of the sense of, don't tell me no, but tell me hold on for now, and let's revisit the conversation when we're both in a healthier emotional state. Because just telling me flat out no, I don't like the word no, y'all.
She don't like the word no,
and it's a bothersome word for me.
It's my favorite word.
So I would prefer for you to say, let's give ourselves a year to kind of make sure the baby's health is together and everything like that. But to outright say we're done with this, I'm just like, I don't want to be done with it.
Blair,
yet.
Stop it.
What do you mean?
Like, stop saying give yourself a year. Our youngest baby, I'm acting like I'm Shamia,
okay,
now, right? Our youngest baby had 12 surgeries coming out the womb, and she's still going through these checkups. I understand that she may just got her tonsils out in this episode, but
that's the oldest one.
That's the oldest one. So now I got 2 babies over here making trips to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Even though tonsils is a normal procedure and things like that. But my thing is, our youngest baby may not be out of the woods in a year.
And I think that's another time to revisit the conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not a one and done conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something we have to come back to figure out where we're at each year. And then at some point, then yes, we can make the decision together on whether it's a yes or a no. Yeah. But I do think it's fair to say if emotionally you don't seem in a place to focus on growing the family, then we're going to wait. And I'm okay with you saying we're waiting for right now. You know?
Yeah, and I don't talk like that.
Right.
So it's not.
You're a lot more straightforward. More.
It's not going to be where
less fluff.
It's not going to be. Hey, we're going to wait for right now. I'm gonna look at you and I'm going to look at my 2 babies, especially my 1 baby who is still not out the woods, and I still got to make sure there's extra care for that one, and I'm going to say, we're done.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the 2.
Then I'm going to start crying and hollering.
And that's fine. Right? I'm like, we're done. Okay, we're done.
Yeah. So we move on. Angela and Charles are at their investment property. They've done some renovations, but they're still in the construction process. She's talking about how she wants to do a vow renewal. And she tells us a little bit about the situation at Madison Square Garden in 2017 when Charles was escorted out because he didn't get along with like the owner of the Knicks, I believe she said.
Yeah.
And it was towards the beginning of their marriage. He needed some healing, so they lived separately for a little while, but they ended up finding their way back together.
Okay.
She also thinks that they need to go to therapy. I feel like Angela's not telling us the whole story.
I feel like this. Therapy ain't gonna fix Charles, man. I'm telling you this right now. I'll follow Charles Oakley career and things of that nature. You just have to accept Charles for who Charles is. And that's what I did. You know, even though I don't know him in that way. I think they gonna be a fun couple. But I wince every time I see him on the screen because I feel like he's going to say something. Like he's going to insult he go call somebody a monkey. And then it just going to be like, you know what, Charles, we need you to apologize. And he will like, I'm not apologizing. And like Charles is just that type of person. That's how you get kicked out of Madison Square Garden by the owner of the whole building. You get what I'm saying? So, and Charles Oakley played for the team. So it's going to be interesting seeing them too. And truth be told, I like them. I do.
Yeah. So Drew meets up with her lawyer.
Yeah.
The last hearing, apparently Ralph didn't have his lawyer there, so he was sitting up cross-examining her. The goal is to get him out of the house and for them to sell their home. They don't know what he can afford because he hasn't submitted all his financial statements. He's been sending in a lot of paperwork, but a lot of that paperwork is Drew's financial statements.
That's funny.
The judge apparently is going to unseal the divorce filings, and Drew is asking, so when it's unsealed, what information is going to be revealed? And the lawyer says that the fact that he's a serial cheater, how he took money out of her account, how he was sexting other women, and tracking Drew. Drew starts crying because she doesn't want that information out there for her kids to see someday.
Okay.
And the attorney basically, gives her a tissue and lets her leave. So
yeah. Here's the thing. How do I say this by being sensitive?
Say it like you.
No.
Okay.
Right. No. Right.
They come here for you. Your authentic self.
I'm not Charles.
Okay.
But I am Chris. Right. Okay. I understand the whole idea of things coming out, but I don't know how. What's the word? I don't know if I believe Drew that she's emotional because her kid's gonna find out. Like, dude, you get what I'm saying? Like I think a lot of people use their kids as excuses and maybe even reasons of like, oh no, just keep it sealed because the kids go find out and they gonna have questions. I think as a family, y'all should have already had a serious conversation with your kids already as the ones that was in the marriage. Yeah. Right? I think it's embarrassing. I think like having it sealed, like Drew can create her own story and
what she likes to do.
And right. Create her own story, kind of in a way control the narrative. But once it really comes out to how much he was dogging you and things like that, and no one wants to be embarrassed in that way. No one wants to be viewed as weak in that way of like, you allowed all this. You get what I'm saying? And I think in some way unsealing the document will make Drew, or basically Drew won't be able to control the narrative, and that's what she's emotional about. Not so much about the kids. Not saying she don't care about the kids, but I think it's more that than this.
Like that might hold more weight.
To
the whole situation.
Because like the kids don't think it's weird daddy down in the basement?
Yeah, but I will say that when it comes to people's marriages and their children, like I do respect folks who want their kids to see their father in the best light. Regardless,
That's fair.
Regardless of how he may have treated you in the marriage. So I could understand her being emotional at the fact of, I don't want their relationship to break down because of how he treated me. But I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of things that's probably weighing on her mind. Yeah. So moving on. So we actually do see Shamia's oldest daughter get her tonsils removed. And the little girl, she was so cute. She had on her little doctor's jacket. And it was like a quick 20-minute procedure. But Gerald, he could not sit down. He was very anxious, but I'm happy that she got it done, and she recovered well.
And this would just support my point even more of saying we're done. I know the oldest child have nothing to do with this, and tonsils is a normal procedure for some people. I was like, you see, look, man, I'm tired of being in and out of hospitals.
Yeah,
we're done. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I'm happy that for one we're getting this much depth in Shamia's story before we get to the drama of it.
Right. So Porsha goes to get her feet done with her mom. They get massages, and it's just been very negative with her going through this public divorce. Her first divorce was different because she was going through the divorce with him, but with Simon, there's no communication, and it's like he isn't the person she married.
How did you know what type of man he was when you married him?
Good question.
I mean, I would just like to know, but go ahead, continue.
She reached out to Simon's pastor, his cousins, his older cousins, to ask them to assist from the cultural aspect. You can ask for the family to help when it comes to any type of marital issues, and they were completely hands off when it came to the situation.
Interesting.
Miss Diane doesn't see why Shamia would tell Porsha the negative things that people are saying about her, and the mom says sometimes you got to watch the person who's carrying a bone. Porsha says that she felt like Shamia probably needed to take up for her.
Wait a minute. Listen here, the apple don't fall far from the tree. What do you mean you got to watch your back and watch who's carrying the bone? If Shamia is carrying a bone, then what is Porsha carrying? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I understand what they're trying to do, but Porsha, there is no way that, number one, you're going to be a sympathetic figure when it comes to this divorce. So you might as well just stop with that. That's not going to happen. And number two, no one's going to shift the blame to nobody else based on what's going on with your life and your information, things like that. We go look all at you and say, well, this man, this stranger man, this man that you stole, that you married and things like that. Of course you didn't know him, but all you cared about was the money. All you cared about was the social status of it. And now that, you're going through it alone, it's kind of hard to feel bad for Porsha. It's almost as if Porsha feels like she was a victim, and it's like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And to me, I'm just kind of like, I don't know how or why Porsha would think this would not come up in the season.
Yeah.
Like this, and I know she said before, this is old news and all this type of stuff, but we never really got to address it.
No.
So it's going to be addressed, and I'm interested to see how she's going to explain it away. So, so we're at Kelly's event with Balmain. All the ladies and their daughters arrive. Porsha and Kenya talk. Apparently, Drew's makeup artist is her makeup artist. And I do remember Porsha saying that she gave Drew recommendations of who to use because when Drew was on her first season, she definitely needed some help to spruce her up to housewife status. And I think that she's spruced up pretty good. She looks great. So apparently, she made sure that she didn't have her hairstylist or makeup artist on time, but apparently Drew made it on time.
Interesting.
But Porsha still made it on time, even though them people were late to get to her. So Cynthia tells Porsha that she doesn't have to have it all together through this divorce, that there's going to be good days and bad days. Porsha asks if Shamia talked to Angela, and Shamia says the one with the retro nose. Moving on, 10% of the proceeds will go to the OI Foundation, and 3 out of 4 of Kelly's daughters were diagnosed with this, which is the brittle bones disease.
Yeah.
She talked about how there was a situation where she took her daughter to the hospital, and CPS was called, the police were called because they were nervous that she was hurting her daughter.
Yeah.
But they found out that it was OI, and then she was able to go home with her daughter.
That is such a unique situation.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's like, I really didn't do anything. It's like, what can you do to prove it? And it's like, thank goodness everything worked out and she was able to still be with her kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Drew isn't really trying to force this conversation with Porsha, but they do need to have the conversation. Porsha even asked her to have it. They're seeing each other. So Drew's just kind of trying to figure out when are we going to talk. Angela and Shamia talk. Angela said, we didn't get started on the right foot, and she does want to have a conversation with Shamia sometimes. And she says, but, and Shamia says, well, if you're going to be speaking on Drew's behalf, then I don't really want to hear whatever it is that you got to say. So Angela calls her a mean girl. Shamia starts talking about Angela's nose. Angela calls her Flavor Flav because she's a big hype man. Porsha, she's the biggest hype man for Porsha and all this type of stuff. And Shamia does tell us that she dressed for Flavor Flav in 2023, but she didn't know that LaToya Jackson would be here today.
Wait, listen here. I know that Shamia is basically Porsha's hype man. But when Porsha hit that as a hype man for Shamia, listen here, Porsha is a lot of things, but we must admit, Porsha is hilarious.
Oh, she's hilarious. And she's a good time.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm like, I understand why she has a lot of friends and people to hang out with her, because she is a good time.
Listen
she's
here,
a good time.
Porsha, I understand why Dennis keep going back. I understand why she keep getting men outside of Simon. That was just totally left field. But it's like, I can see myself like laughing at Porsha, literally like holding my stomach, because number one, she has audacity, and that is hilarious to watch on somebody else's behalf, not for me.
Right?
You know what I mean? So the fact that her and Shamia was tag teaming Angela was hilarious, and guess what, Angela, you held your own too. You guess what? I thought it was a funny back and forth and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I will say, when I saw the preview of her calling her Flavor Flav, I was ready, to put my boxing gloves on. But I realized Shamia started the name calling with the looks and all that type of stuff, so I'm gonna give it a fair tit for tat. I'm gonna sit out this one.
But we see you though.
So Shamia and Drew, they're good. They both have moved on, and apparently they spent a total of $30K on this event. So it sounds like it was a very successful event for Kelli and the OI Foundation. So that was awesome. Drew then goes to grab Porsha to talk, and Porsha says, "Can we talk next week?" And Porsha's trying to figure out, why is Drew over here grabbing me to have a conversation?
Yeah.
And we see Drew's sister, walking around the corner.
Oh boy, basically like, oh man,
that's her backup.
Debo here. You know what I'm saying? Is that it?
That's all.
I thought it was a fun conversation. I mean, a fun episode. I'm interested to see how this gonna work out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. What was your thoughts on this episode, Blair?
I enjoyed it. I'm loving the season so far. I'm loving the girls. The shade is fun and funny.
Yeah.
And I'm liking it. I'm really liking it.
Yeah. So we see y'all next week. Oh, we may do some deep dives on this, especially with the news we're hearing about how close or not close Shamia and Porsha is. Look out for that. And we see y'all.
Bye.